Brenton, lawmakers scaled back state spending in the budget, but still want billions for capital improvements as they try to balance cost cutting with keeping Hawaii's economy going.
We've been shoring up the largest budget deficit in history for the state of Hawaii. All of our efforts together have worked to craft a budget that ensures that our state government will continue to serve the community with fiscal certainty and fidelity in the most uncertain of economic times.
Lawmakers look to come up with $1 billion to make up for the big drop in revenue because of the pandemic.
One of the things that we don't want to do is severely impact some of the safety net programs. So we are very cautious about having more severe cuts.
While they didn't cut staffing levels, they did cut out new programs from the budget, took money from unused vacant positions, and tapped into $400 million of the rainy day fund, a move not everyone agrees with.
We have a budget that aims to avoid furloughs and cuts that we believe would exasperate our already fragile local economy.
Our government is spending out of our emergency funds now. What happens if there's another need for emergency money in the future? It won't be there. And that's...
Akina is also concerned because under the plan, lawmakers would take hundreds of millions in cash from several funds and issue general obligation bonds instead. That's money that'll have to be paid back later with interest.
Whatever is borrowed now is going to have to be paid back in the future, and that's going to be an extraordinary burden on taxpayers. We simply should tighten our belts now. We should ask our government departments to save every way in which they can. We should reduce spending, and we should take the hard hit now.
Senators also passed the first reading of a $5 billion capital improvement plan.
We are putting in the CIP budget infrastructure funding that will help the development of additional housing, which will still be important as we get past the pandemic.
More than $1 billion for our roads, tens of millions for gender equity upgrades at a number of high schools, and millions more for shovel-ready projects to jumpstart the economy.
By shoring up projects now, we can get more construction, which will help the economy. Now is the time that we should be doing as many construction projects as possible.
Lawmakers hope action they take now will make the economy stronger in the future, but Akina would instead like to see less spending now and easing regulations for businesses and residents in the future.
The legislature should be doing what households are doing now, looking at ways of cutting expenses and doing it aggressively.
Even once the budget bills are passed, there may be more changes coming next month after another Council on Revenue's report comes out later this month and an economic recovery plan is in place. Lawmakers could adjust the budget again. Reporting live in the newsroom, Paul Drews, KITV4 Island News. Brenton senators passed the first reading of a trimmed-down budget made with cuts and conversions of other monies and should send that finished version to the House next week. Lawmakers felt they need to make up $1 billion in lost revenue for the budget and came up with it by converting cash funds into general obligation bonds and taking a big chunk of the rainy day fund. They also took money away from unused state positions, but are proud their bill won't require reductions in state employees. Some still worry, though, that state will be overspending during this tough economic time.
We've worked hard to craft a budget that is fiscally prudent and mindful not to impair our ability to provide core services statewide. We have a budget that aims to avoid furloughs and cuts.
The legislature should be doing what households are doing now, looking at ways of cutting expenses and doing it aggressively. That's essential. We're not in a strong position financially yet.
Now, senators still want to spend on construction projects as they feel that will help to keep the economy going. Some of those include about $40 million for gender equity projects like girls' locker rooms at various schools around the state and road work that would allow for more housing to go up after the economy picks back up following this economic downturn. Lawmakers may take a final vote on the budget at the end of next week, but they may not be done with the state's financial plans. By the time they come back from recess in June, we will have another Council of Revenues update and more federal monies will have been used for COVID-related expenses. So lawmakers will look at additional changes to the budget, whether good or bad. Brenton, back to you.